Let's start with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are studying Panchadasi, chapter 3, Panchakosha Viveka Prakaranam. We are in the 33rd verse, and so far what we have seen in this chapter is Vidyaranya takes up the highest truth, which is called as Brahman. Brahman means it is my own nature, which I don't know. In simple words, that's what it means. It is me, myself, but I don't know that. It is covered by 5 koshas or 5 layers. The grossest layer is called as the body, Annamaya. What covers Annamaya is the Pranamaya. When I am focused on my breath, I forget I am the body. Then what covers Pranamaya? When I focus on my mind, the emotions in my mind, I forget the Pranamaya. So the Pranamaya becomes a kosha. Otherwise, it is referred as Atma. Annamaya is Atma, is a normal, everybody thinks, I am the body. How does it become a kosha? It becomes a kosha, a covering, when I am focused, when I'm identified. Who is this I which is identifying? That I which is identifying is called as the ahamkara. See, whenever we are trying to understand the scriptures, we need the help of the instrument. Instrument is what is called as the Vedanta portion, which is the technique by which we try to understand the truth from the scriptures, is the methodology which is called as Panchakosha Viveka. So I was telling you about Manomaya Kosha. It covers the Pranamaya Kosha. Then what happens? We have another layer which is called as the Karta Bhokta. Suppose somebody says, I am the doer of this action. I did this work. He is not identified with his mind. He is identified with his buddhi, intellect. So, buddhi is an instrument. For whom? For the indweller in this body. The indweller is called as the jiva. So, we have to go through these koshas and then arrive at the final truth of who I am. Beyond the intellect, they say there is something called as Anandamaya Kosha. Anandamaya Kosha means usually it is referred as the bliss sheet. Whenever I experience joy in the world, that is what is called as happiness. And that also is a covering according to Vedanta. So in the first 12 mantras of this chapter, Vidyaranya covers Taittiriya Upanishad, the Pancha koshas. And then whatever has been described in Taittiriya Upanishad as my real nature, the same thing he tries to, Vidyaranya, the author, he tries to explain to us what is this nature. Taittiriya Upanishad says that my nature is defined as Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. So, what is it which I should get rid of? I should get rid of the notion that I am this body. First thing. If I get rid of this notion, I am the body, what is the corollary? The corollary is body is born, body will not be there. So if body is not me, that means I don't have birth, I don't have any death. But we all feel and we hear and we see death, we see birth in this world. What we are trying to do is trying to search for the truth. Is this birth and death real, or is there something higher than birth and death? Lord Krishna describes this in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Najayate mriyate va kadachit. The 20th verse of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2. There, Lord Krishna clearly says there is something which you don't know, something which is your real nature, something which is not born, and something which will never die. It will always be there. What Vidyaranya says in this chapter is, in the last verse, he says, if you know that eternal nature of yours, you will become Brahman. You, the one who is today identified with this body as me, you will then say, I am Brahman. Brahman is just a name. But what is the content of Brahman is what we should try to understand. That Brahman, that pure nature of mine is defined in three words, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. The Satyam portion is, the Jnanam portion was taken first from verse number 13 to 28. And then Satyam was taken from 29 to 34. We are coming towards the end of the Satyam portion. Then we will be doing in 2 verses Anantam portion, 35 and 36. Then the rest of the chapter from 37 onwards till 43, 7 verses, Vidyaranya tells us how this is all happening. What is this magic which is happening? If I am the pure consciousness, if I am the pure existence, there is something pure about me. If I am that, why am I seeing all this? And that he describes as Maya Shakti, which we will discuss when we come to verse number 37. So now let's go back to where we stopped last week. This is the slide we stopped last week, slide 229. I said we will start from this slide. In this verse, the neti portion is being discussed. This is the 33rd verse. The verse says that the entire world can be referred as this, idam. There are 2 Sanskrit words. One is called aham, another is called as idam. Aham means I, the subject. Idam means body, mind, birth. Body is also called as idam because it is an object for that consciousness, awareness. Mind is also that. It is this or that. This is something which is near, that is something which is far away, that's all. But I is the subject. And it is this I which can never be negated. This and that can be negated, but I can never be negated. That is the essence of the 33rd verse. Idam rupam tu yat yavad tat akhilam tyaktum shakyate tam. Entire world of this and that can be negated. Badaha, sublated. It can be negated in sleep. What we see in the world during the Jagrat Avastha anyway goes away. You may say that it exists for other people who are in the Jagrat Avastha, but that we are not talking about. We are saying, who am I? We are going to the core of my personality. I am trying to understand who am I. I am the consciousness in which this whole world is coming and going. In the Jagrat, in the waking state, it is coming. I can see the world. In the sleep state, this world goes away. This coming and going is a Shakti of Ishvara. It is a Shakti, it is a power. That Shakti of Ishvara is called as Maya Shakti. So the verse is trying to say how we negate the world. That is what is being described. So the second part of this verse is Ashakya iti anidam rupam. Idam means this. Anidam means I, not this. What is not this? There is only one thing in the world which is not this, and that is the self. So what is the nature of this self? The nature of this self is what is described as Satyam. Asmat pratyaya gochara, yushmat pratyaya gochara. That means we refer to the world as this and that. The self is never this or that. The self is always aham. It is never an object. It is always the subject. Gochara means object of this or object of that. This means nearby, that means far away. That Himalayas, that mountain, that river, or this body, this mind. The definition of sakshi, the knower or the witness or the consciousness, sakshi is given different names. Sakshi is also called as consciousness. It is also called as the knower because it is the ultimate knower of everything in the world. So how do I define that sakshi? That which is never an object of this. This is an indirect way of describing sakshi. That which can never be given up is sakshi. These are all indirect forms of definition. What is the direct definition? Sakshi means I am the witness, the knowledge principle. In my light of awareness, the whole world is seen. So anything can be given up except this pure I. This factor, which is not given up even in the sleep state, is called as sakshi. Even in nirvikalpa avastha, samadhi avastha, what is given up in samadhi avastha? What is given up is ignorance. In nirvikalpa samadhi avastha, ignorance about the world is given up, but ignorance about myself is not given up. Therefore, what we say is that we need to understand our real nature as pure I. It is not with ignorance. So pure consciousness is not idam. That is what is the essence of this verse. Drishtya viveka for those who have done the Drigdrishya Viveka, most of you have done it, I know. Yet, there is a logic given there in Drigdrishya Viveka. This is a very powerful logic. You must keep the 5 steps which are there in the logic. I'm just repeating that logic so that you can use this anytime when you want to say, check whether what you are experiencing is aham or idam. In simple terms, all our perceptions are called as idam. And anything which is seen is inert. Now we are trying to understand the Vedanta. In Vedanta, how do we define the world? Yat drishyam tat jadam. This is the first step. I am seeing the world. Now I want to inquire, is the world consciousness or am I consciousness? Because how to differentiate the world and consciousness is explained in these 5 steps. Whatever is perceived is inert. First step. Second step, yat jadam tat vikari. Vikari means modifies. What is modifying in the world? Everything which is seen is modified. First step is what? Whatever is perceived, seen, heard, smelled is jadam by nature. And whatever is jadam is what? It is modifying. It is got vikara. And what is the third step? Yat vikari tannashvaram. Whatever is modifying, it will decay and it will perish. Then what is the fourth step? Yat nashvaram tan mithya. Whatever is perishing is called as mithya. Mithya means it is seen, but it is not really existent because it perishes. It is false, it is apparent, it exists only for a certain amount of time. What appears to exist but does not have true existence in 3 periods of time is called as mithya. Mithya is a technical term used in Vedanta to describe the world of our experiences. The last step is yan mithya tat asat. Whatever is an appearance is actually not there. It is only like the dream which we see, or the rope snake which we experience, or like we experience the furniture on the wood, the ornaments on the gold. These are all name and form. So what is Satyam then? Satyam is aham. In this aham, everything is superimposed. That is what we have seen at Adhyasa Bhashyam. Adhyasa Bhashyam, everything in the world is superimposed. On what? On this pure eye. This pure eye can never be drishyam. It is always the drishta, the seer. So this way, by applying the 5 steps, we go from drishyam to satya. What can be negated is drishyam, experiences. What cannot be negated is the experiencer consciousness. That experiencer consciousness is the same in all the bodies. It never changes. That is the truth which Vedanta tries to bring about. That is the truth which we are supposed to realize as our true nature. Atma is bada varjitaha. anirvachaniya. It can never be deny its existence. That means the self, the pure consciousness is always there. You cannot say that I am not there. I am always there is the truth, ultimate truth, which Vedanta tries to bring about. But you may say, what happens in death? I don't see the other person when he dies. What I have been seeing is the body. I have never seen the consciousness, because his consciousness and my consciousness is the same. I cannot say I am seeing the space in the room and the space outside. It is the same space. Space is indivisible. So all the time I am experiencing my own nature, which is pure consciousness, all the time. But in between, the Jagrata Avastha comes, the world comes. In between, the Swapna Avastha comes and it disappears. In between, the ignorant state of causal body comes and again it disappears. But who am I who is invariable in all these experiences? That is the Satya. This is how Vidyaranya tries to bring about the true nature of ours. First, in the other, he described from 29 to 34. From 13 to 28, he described what is jnanam, the nature of consciousness. In Atma, my real nature, it is of the nature of consciousness. It is always there. Aham, aham, aham. Whenever you close your eyes, you should say, I am that pure consciousness. I am that pure Satya, pure existence. Be aware of that Sat aspect of yours always and be free from all modifications of the mind, body, and world. This is the topic we are going to take up for meditation today. Today we are going to see Nirvana Shatkam, very beautiful 6 verses of Adi Shankaracharya for our meditation. It is because of this nature of Anatma, I would like to take it deeper in our meditation session. Now, Chandogya Upanishad is the one which gives us the definition of Satya. Sadeva Saumyam idamagre asit. This is a very famous quotation used by Shankaracharya always whenever he wants to describe what is Sat. Sat is something which is existence, which was there before the creation, which is there now, and which will be there after the creation is gone. This is the revelation of the Upanishad. There is a vastu like this. There is a reality. That reality is always existing. It never changes. And it is never anidam. It is always aham, aham. It is never idam. Jnanam is swaprakasha anubhitatva. That means I am always experiencing jnanam as my self-evident nature. It is not consciousness of the body, consciousness of the mind. It is not consciousness with some objects, but it is pure consciousness. Pure consciousness is described from 13 to 28, 29 to 33 is the pure existence. And it is ajnanam which appears as happiness in sleep state. In ajnanam, there is a reflection of consciousness. It is a vritti. Ajnanam is a vritti. It is a thought. And it belongs to karana sharira. So in sleep, all of us have this thought. What is the thought? I don't know anything. You ask anybody in sleep, anybody in the world, you ask, he or she will say, what did I experience? I don't know anything. I didn't know anything, neither my body or the world. And now that is called as a thought. In Vedanta, they say that there are two types of thought. One is the thought of the subtle body, which is what the sense perceptions are. All our sense organs, they perceive the objects and they bring into the mind the objects to the mind in the vritti form. It is called as subtle body, the mind, the vritti, the antakarana vritti. Now here we are not talking of antakarana vritti, we are talking about karana sharira vritti. Therefore, the experience is different. All of us have the experience of sleep. The experience of sleep is the same for all of us. I don't know anything. And that is because the karana shariram and karana prapancha is the same. Karana shariram is a part of the entire causal body of the universe. Ajnana modifies, appears in a particular fashion so as to reflect ananda of the self. So basically, this we will study this in the first chapter of Panchadasi a little bit more, how this happiness gets reflected in the Anandamaya kosha. Very beautifully elaborated by Vidyaranya in the first chapter, which we will be studying after this chapter. Okay, so that was about verse number 33. Verse number 34 says that this is the conclusion of the Sat aspect of this chapter. What does Vidyaranya say? He says, thus has been established the eternal existence of the self. That means, so far what we have seen from verse number 29 till 33 is the existence. There is an existence aspect of the self. There are three aspects of the self. One is the consciousness aspect. Second, consciousness is what? I am of the nature of light, knowledge. Always I'm aware, I am aware, I am aware. Isn't this experience of all of you? Yes. Suppose you say, I don't want to look at my body, look at my mind, look at the world. Who am I? I am this pure awareness. That is one aspect. What is the second aspect? That pure consciousness also is pure existence. I am. Now, this is what we are, this aspect of mind is what we are trying to arrive at in our meditation. In our meditation, we are trying to remove all the external features. But after removing all the features, don't say there is nothing. There is something, that something is called as Satya. And it is awareness itself. Consciousness itself is this existence. Siddham Brahmani Satyatvam. In Brahman, Atman is established. In that pure consciousness, the self, which is called as Atman, is established. Pure consciousness means without the body and without the world. What is that entity called? That entity is called as Brahman. In that, this self, this Atman is established, and the same Brahman, Ishvara, is also established. Ishvara means what? This entire universe is the form of Ishvara. Jnanam tvam tu puriratam. Jnanam has been discussed. Now Satyam has also been discussed. Iti adi vachanai sputam. It's been clearly explained what is consciousness and what is existence. What remains now? Ananta. In Taittiriya Upanishad, I said Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Sat Chit Ananda. Ananda will be taken up, Anantam will be taken up in two verses, 35 and 36. We are in 34 now. So far, what have we seen? That seated in the cave of five koshas is this consciousness. This consciousness is called as Atman or Brahman. Brahman is the consciousness. The name consciousness is given Brahman when it is without the upadis, without the world. When I am not looking at without the body or mind or the world, it is called as Brahman. Neither it is Jiva, neither it is Ishvara, it is one Brahman. This is the verse, Taittiriya verse, which we are discussing in the whole chapter. 43 verses are describing this one verse. Om Brahma Vida Apnoti Param Tadesham Yuktam Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam Parame Yoman Soshnute Sarvan Kaman Saha Brahmana Vipaschiteti. This is the pure nature which the Upanishad describes. I am trying to understand that nature in all these 43 verses. It is lodged, that pure consciousness existence, it is there in the cave of my own intellect. So I have to travel from Annamaya to Pranamaya to Manomaya to Vijnanamaya to Anandamaya, and then know this pure Brahman. This Atman is the nature of knowledge. It is a self of everything in the universe. This is an inward journey. You see, normally we can go to America, we go to India, we go to Japan or Korea. Now, that is an external journey in space. But this is an internal journey into our own internal self. This is the spiritual journey. Jnanam is swaprakasha. So when you reach that highest truth, you should not be looking at it as an object. You should look at it as the pure light of awareness. Aham. And that is Satyam. It has no negation. You cannot do neti of the Satya self. Atma cannot be negated because it always is. You cannot sublate Atma. There is no change, there is no modification in Atma. So using Jnanam, Atma is recognized, and then after this Jnanam is recognized, you recognized the Satyam as Brahman. Whatever is existing as always there, and which can never, Satyam means what? You should always remember one thing about Satyam. It can never be negated. I can negate the entire universe, I can negate my body, I can negate my mind in my sleep state, but I am Satyam. The witness of the sleep state is this consciousness. That is what is the summary of what we have studied till now. Now, verse number 35 is an important verse. It talks about Anantam, and in two verses, Vidyaranya describes everything about Anantam. In Taittiriya Upanishad, Anantam is taken up in several verses. Several verses are there. But here, Vidyaranya summarizes the whole thing, Anantam. Every time we meet, many times we can understand Satyam and Jnana. Satyam, Jnanam is consciousness, Satyam is existence. Okay, I can understand. Anantam, what is this Anantam? Very difficult. I don't understand this Anantam. Technically, Vidyaranya describes this as whatever is not limited by space, time, or objects is Anantam. Let's see the verse.
देशतो अन्तो न व्यापित्वा देशतो अन्तो नित्यत्वा नापि कालतः नित्यत्वान्नापि कालतः न वस्तुतोऽपि सर्वात्म्याद् न वस्तुतोऽपि सर्वात्म्याद् आनन्त्यं ब्रह्मणि त्रिधा Anantyam Brahmani Tridha.
So what is this Brahman? Brahman is something which is not limited by space, by time, or objects. If somebody asks you, you keep on saying Brahman, 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 but tell me what is Brahman? Then this is the definition you should remember. Very important definition of our pure nature. What is the first thing about this pure consciousness, pure limitless nature of mind? Limitless is infinite. Infinite means what? It is always there. It is all pervading. It is there in all the objects at all the time, in all the places. Space-wise, there is no limitation for this consciousness because it is sarva vyapakam. It is all pervading. This consciousness is pervading entire cosmos. Like the light pervades all the objects in a room. Suppose you put a tube light in your room. The light pervades every object in the room. Similarly, this consciousness pervades the whole universe. There is no space, there is no time in where you can say this consciousness is not there. Whenever we say it is not pervaded by time, that means time does not affect consciousness. Therefore, we say it is nityam, it is immortal, amritam. Body is mortal. Mind is very, very mortal. It is very, very transitory. Objects are also transitory. One object is there, after some time, the object is not there. The building itself is gone. Mountains are gone. Rivers dry up. All objects are changing, 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 changing in the external world. But what remains changeless is this Brahman. There is something. You see, many a times we don't feel that there is something like this. Can there exist something like this? As you listen to the Vedanta and the Upanishads more and more, you will start understanding that I am that pure consciousness. Initially, because our mind is always external, it is looking at the world, it is not looking at inside what is the nature of the self. We miss this self, we miss this consciousness. And Upanishad has a different ways of describing and revealing this self to us. That is why we are doing 12 Upanishads in Saturday classes. Deshataha na antaha. With respect to space, it is all pervasive, sarva vyapi. Every thought is pervaded by consciousness. Therefore, it is illumined. It comes to light, and I am able to realize it. Do you realize your emotions? Yes. How do you know your emotions? Is because of the light of consciousness. It is not because of the light of Surya. Surya is an inert light. But your emotions are not inert. They are sentient. What gives that sentiency to that emotion? That emotion exists for a very short time. I felt very happy or I felt very sad. What happened after 1 month? That emotion is gone. Some other new state of the mind has come. So every time we have to remind ourselves that I am the pure Sat Chit Ananda. I am not the pramata, the ahankara, which is knowing the world. Okay, now here is a slight discrimination you have to make. What is it? The mind knows the world. I know the mind. I am consciousness which knows the state of the mind in the waking state. It sees the waking world. I am consciousness which sees the mind in the dream state, in a semi-passive state. And that mind is experiencing the dream world. I am always consciousness. Mind is there in 3 forms. Active form in Jagrat, semi-active form in dream, passive form in the sleep state. That is my real nature. What about the nature when I see the world and say, I'm seeing the world, I'm experiencing the world? That is called as pramata. Pramata means experiencer, triputi. The mind has already come. That mind has got a reflection of consciousness, and that reflected consciousness with the mind is called as pramata, the knower of the world. The knower of the world can be either the waking world, dream world, or sleep world. But who am I? I am not the knower of the world. I am the knower of the mind, the mind's conditions. When the mind is not there, I'm still there. So mind goes into manifest condition, unmanifest condition. I am not at all affected by the mind's conditions. That is how you should realize I am always free. That is my moksha swarupa. This is what is called as freedom from joy and sorrow. The moment you understand the distinction between pramata and sakshi, you have understood Vedanta. Very important factor. I have given you a glimpse of it. For those who have got a sharp intellect, you will realize your Atma here and now. This very minute, you know, I am that sakshi. The difference between pramata, again I'm repeating, pramata is a term used when that mind in 3 forms, waker, dreamer, sleeper, all 3 are called as pramata. What is sakshi? Sakshi is the witness of the mind. It is not the witness of the world. World is experienced by the mind. World disappears in the mind. But I, the sakshi, am illumining the different conditions of the mind. Nityatvat na api na api kartana antaha. We all feel that we have not changed. Kalataha antaha. I have not changed at all. Isn't this the experience of all of us? Yes. Something in me has not changed. I don't know what it is, but that is what is being revealed by Vedanta, is revealed by this chapter. And that is what is called as Satyam Jnanam Anantam. I in the past, I in the present, I in the future, that pure I remains the same. That is the sentient principle. It is the changeless, timeless principle. The three states are anityam. Anityam means it is drishyam. It is ephemeral. It is limited. Limited why? Because the day is gone. The time comes and the time goes. But I, the illuminator of the time, am always there. I exist in sleep also. This is a very important point to be noted in Vedanta. This is the way to understand Vedanta. Vastutata api na antaha. Chair is not table. Chairness, tableness, goldness, potness, these are all limited. Chair is not table, table is not pot, pot is not watch, watch is not a mic, mic is not light. So they are different, but they exist for some time. Objects are limited in time, but I am not limited in time. Brahman alone is the Sarva Atma. It is the self of all. What is the self of the objects? It is called as isness, existence. The whole world, the self of that is called as Brahman. Atma is the self, which is the truth. Brahman is called as Antaryami in Mandukya Upanishad. Antaryami means an Ishvara principle, the self of the universe. So Jiva Jagat Ishvara is nothing but this pure consciousness, existence, and bliss. Why do we say bliss is the nature of Atma? Because there is no mind in Atma. It is the mind which gives us the sorrowful thoughts and the happiness thoughts. Thoughts are not there in Atma, therefore it is called as bliss. What is the nature of this pure being? Sarvagatam Sarvasya Atma, the self of all the objects. It is the self of the rivers which you see. It is the self of the mountains. It is because all these are drishya. They are all objects of your sense organs. They are not the consciousness which is way behind all the senses. This consciousness alone is Purnaha. That is why at the end of every Panchadasi class we say Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate. It is this Purnaha. We are reminding ourselves of this Satchidananda principle in that mantra. It is the definition of this pure consciousness, which is Purnamada Purnamidam, Purnat Purnamudachyate. At some time, I will take up that mantra and explain to you that mantra. So there is no boundary to this reality because it is beyond space, time, and objects. Brahman, the pure reality, is beyond time. When I say beyond, what does it mean? It is not, consciousness is not affected by time. Consciousness is not affected by space. You travel from here to India or to America, you are still consciousness. You are still that pure existence. body has traveled. There is no travel for Atman. Space and objects. Space is everywhere. Space is one. Consciousness is also one. It is everywhere and it is every time. Morning, I am also conscious. Evening, also, I am conscious. Tomorrow morning, also, I am conscious. In the night, also, I am conscious. In sleep, I am there. The word is unmanifested form. Matter has got two conditions. Very important point. Matter means the body, mind, and the world. It has got two conditions. What are the two conditions? Manifest, unmanifest. Manifest in the Jagrata Avastha, the waking state, unmanifest in the sleep, Sushupti Avastha. Consciousness does not have any states. It doesn't have any conditions. It is only one Nitya Vastu. Only thing is you should know it is beyond sleep. This is a very important factor in understanding the consciousness. If you can pick up this one small point that I exist in sleep state in my pure form, then you have realized the truth. What are objects? Objects are different, they are limited, and pramata is identified with the body, mind, and intellect. That is also an object of consciousness. Space is not ananta with reference to kala. In sleep, space resolves. There is I have talked about this drishti srishti vada. Drishti srishti vada means what? Whenever I see the world, it exists for me. When I don't see the world, I alone am. I, the pure consciousness alone am. This is the philosophy of some superior senior students, you see, who can understand the fact that I gave you the 5 steps, right? About the 5 steps of Drishyatvam, then Mithyatvam, then all the 5 steps. If you are able to understand and grasp the truth, then you can say that the world is seen by the sense organs. If it is not seen, it is an unmanifest condition. That's all. World has got 2 conditions, but I am always there. Taittiriya Upanishad takes the explanation of the truth in a very step-by-step form. From a gross level, from the subtle level, it goes to the gross level. Tasmat va etasmat atmana akasha sambhutaha. How Taittiriya Upanishad takes you? It takes you small by small steps it takes you. From Atma comes this air. From the Atma comes the space first. Space is born. Akashat vayuhu. From space, air is born. Vayor agnihi. From air is born fire principle. Agnero apaha. From fire comes water. Adabhya prithivihi. From water comes the earth. Prithibhya oshadayaha. From the earth are born the plants, the food for all the creatures, all the pranis. Whether you are an animal, whether you are a bird, the food is aushadhi. From that earth is born all the foods. From the food, annat purushaha, is born the man. The purusha means the human being is born from food. When we do the Taittiriya Upanishad in the Saturday class, I will explain to this aspect much more in detail. But here, I just want to take you to the different levels from subtle to gross. But most important thing you should remember is that space is born from Atma. Very important. I am the pure Atma in my sleep state. From the sleep state, the whole world, spaces comes first, then the entire Jagat comes. The whole world goes into unmanifest condition, and I alone remain. In sleep, there is no experience of kala, time. Therefore, time is an object of the mind. It is an object for consciousness. Chit Maya Samyoga is Kalaha. This is one of the important definitions of time. What is time? Chit Maya. What is Maya? The world. What is Chit? The pure consciousness. When Maya and the world and the consciousness come together, it is called as time. Suppose the Chit alone is, there is no Kala. When there is no Kala, no time, there is no space and there are no objects. Nothing except Brahman is ananta all the way. We say nothing is there. Isness continues. Isness is this Brahman. Isness is this ultimate truth. We can conceive of non-existence only through the medium of existence. When the world is existence, we can say it is not. It becomes non-existence in the sleep state. World, but I am always there. I can destroy the objects, but I cannot destroy myself. Object has got name and form. Name and form have got energy. And that is what is called as Maya or Bhava Rupaha. And then we say it exists. Maya exists or is supported by Brahman. That is why it's called Brahma Ashraya Maya. Brahman is Purnaha, it's complete, and it is full. So why Ananta is with reference to how Ananta is a reference to the objects, which if you understand this aspect of gold and ornaments, then you will understand how that pure Brahman is not limited by any objects. See, whenever we see gold, actually, whenever we see ornaments, we are only seeing gold, but we don't pay attention to the gold aspect. Similarly, when we look at furniture, table, chair, we look at the name and form, but we miss out the wood. When we look at all the human beings, we miss out the consciousness existence aspect in them. Vidyaranya, in all these chapters, I just brought up all the chapters except chapter number 9. Chapter 1, I won't explain to you how he goes about what is the grand vision of Vidyaranya Swamiji and how he presents this truth in the entire Panchadasi. Chapter 1, he describes Mahabhuta Viveka. And in chapter 2, he talks about one aspect, the Sat Vidya. Again, this existence principle will come in chapter 2, pure Satyam. Taittiriya Upanishad is described now in 3rd chapter. 4th chapter discusses their duality. Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti, very important chapter. 5th chapter talks about the Mahavakyas, again very important. These 2 chapters are extremely important, 4 and 5. The 6th chapter talks about how consciousness is like a canvas. on which the whole world of Jagrat, Sushupti, Swapna come and go. 7th chapter of Panchadasi covers one verse from Vedantic Upanishad. 8th chapter, he takes up one verse of Upadesha Sahasri. The 10th chapter, we have already done that, is Vedantic Upanishad, Swayam Jyoti Brahmana. 11 to 15, he talks about Ananda Mimamsa, the bliss nature of the happiness. He goes into depth of happiness. When we look at the wave, we should get the vision of water. When we look at the universe, we should get the vision of Atma. The 3 states, the 5 koshas, and the 3 bodies are nothing but Satchid Ananda Brahman. The world is a bubble in existence. Atma Bodha has this beautiful verse. The bubbles in the water, they rise. Similarly, the world rise where? In the self. Gold ornaments are nothing but one karanam. They are all made of gold. Similarly, all objects in this world have one karanam, which is Brahman. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, I am the adhisthana of kalaha. I don't have antaha. I don't have beginning. I don't have end, because I am the adhisthana. Which verse is that? It is the verse number 32 in the 11th chapter. Kalosmi lokakshaya pravardha. I am the substratum of time. There, I means what? It is this Brahman. When we study Bhagavad Gita, sometimes we miss out the essence of the whole Gita. Learning is Brahman. Ultimately, it is talking about Brahman. Limitless Brahman. Anantam Brahman. Anantam Brahma means Desha Kala Vastu is superficial. It is Adhyasa. It is superimposed on consciousness. What is the first step in our learning the LKG of Brahman? Sarva Vyapi, it is all pervading, it is Nityaha, always there, and it is the self of all. But what is the higher level of study, which is the PhD? It is Desha Kalu Vasta. Vastu, they are all appearances, they are not the truth, they are only Mithya. Mithya means appearance. With that, we finish this verse. Next week, we will take verse number 36. This is also talking about the same topic of Anantam Brahman. From the 37 to 43 is the Maya Shakti. How is this Shakti is there in the Jiva and in the Ishvara, in the 2 Upadhis, how this is comes and goes, that is beautifully explained in the last 7 verses. Next week, we'll do this 36th verse, which is the Anantam portion. We'll close this Anantam and then start the Maya portion. Okay, with that, we'll close the Panchadasi chapter 3. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnahat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti. Shanti. Mohan Krishnan is asking, in sleep there is no kala. Since there is no kala, there is no desha. This is Einstein's philosophy. Time and space are connected. Desha is not independent of kala. Yes, you're right. There is no desha without kala. Desha kala relationship. Okay, your question is, can I read which chapter can I read on desha kala relationship? There is no specific chapter in Panchadasi, it will come. It is a common thing which comes and goes in several texts. There is no specific text and no chapter where this is described. During our sessions, we will be talking about it off and on. Is there any other question from anybody else?
Hi, Mr. Shekhar.
Yes,
I have one quick question.
Yes.
How do I say? Do I say is Anantam equal to Brahman, or do I say Anantam Brahman?
No, Anantam is the same as Brahman. You see, it is only an aspect, it's a feature of Brahman. Suppose I say Jacqueline, and I say Jacqueline is, the name Jacqueline includes several features of yours. You see, the name Jacqueline tells me that you are a lady, a beautiful girl, and you've got a beautiful mind, and so on. So similarly, Anantam is a feature. It is an aspect, it's a feature of Brahman. You see, when I say I am pure consciousness, it means I am limitless. Anantam means limitless nature. Like consciousness, awareness is a nature. Existence is a nature. Similarly, limitlessness is a nature. And what is the meaning of limitlessness? Time is not there in consciousness. Because consciousness is the cause. Time is a product. Time comes later. Consciousness is there before time. So, your question is Anantam means, is it the only way you can say this, it is a feature of my own self. Okay?
Okay. So it's not like, I mean, if I say Brahman, Brahman or Satchit Ananda equal to Om, equal to Brahman, is equal to Turiam. So can I say Anantam is equal to Turiam or no?
Yes, Anantam is also equal to Turiam. You see, the names given to that pure entity is, you can call it Atma, you can call it Turiyam, you can call it Brahman.
Yeah.
Now, Anantam is a feature of that pure, of that name which we give. How do I recognize that? See, for example, I want to know I am that pure Brahman, right? Now, how do I recognize this? The recognition will only come when I use certain words which belongs to the world, which is experienced in the world, but it is not, the word does not belong to the objects in the world, it belongs to the subject. For example, there is nothing which is eternal in the objective world. So how do I describe the subject then? Everything is limited in the objective world. The word I use to describe myself is limitlessness.
Yes.
So that word is called as ananta. But the entity is called turiya. The entity is called as Brahman.
It's Atma also, right?
Atma.
Okay, got it. Appreciate.
Okay, good. Now you got it. Good,
Yeah.
very good.
Appreciate.
Yeah. Any other question? Baubai,
Yes.
you have any questions?
Shall I go ahead?
Yeah, I'm just asking
Can-
Baubai because
Sure.
he. Baubai? Shanmugam, can you unmute Baubai? Yeah, can you ask the question now?
This one was last week's question. I still doubt whether the animals have egos or not.
Animals have what?
Ego.
Ego.
Hmm.
Don't worry about animals. Let's worry about ourselves. You've been thinking about animals for one full week. Your question is not answered. Don't worry about it. Drop them. Don't worry about animals. See, animals have an ego. Yes, they have. Without ego, they will not eat. They will know I am eating, I am running. They have what is called as samanya ahamkara. Samanya ahamkara means this body, when it is born, it has a reflection of consciousness, which is common to all the everybody. Whether you're a bird or you're an animal, you're a duck or anybody, it is. It comes with that. It comes with that feeling that I am. So ego is nothing but I am is that feeling that I am in this body. See, you also have that. What is? How do you define your ego? Your ego is the moment you say I am in this body, and then you take up certain actions. I run, I walk, I eat, I am thirsty, I am hungry. These are all samanya ahamkara. Samanya ahamkara means it is very natural. Okay, so, but there is another ahamkara which is got a negative connotation. That means, suppose I say I am rich. That is not samanya ahamkara. That is a specific Vishesha Ahankara. You have money, therefore you say I am rich. You have knowledge, you say I am a jnani. You say I have family, therefore I am a samsari. So that is specific. That is different for everybody. Your Vishesha Ahankara is different than Chandra's Vishesha Ahamkara or anybody else's. So person to person, the Ahankara will change. Animals, again I am repeating, which I said last week, animals have Samanya Ahamkara like all the living beings.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Because why we have like body language and all that. So
Yes.
animals don't have body language, so they how to
See, that is the difference between the animals and human. Human being can communicate and plan. Animals cannot have communication. They cannot speak our type of advanced languages. They cannot understand that they are Brahman. You see, we can understand because our intellect is very powerful. That is why Shankaracharya and Vivek Chudamani says that you are born as a human being, make good use of your birth and learn that your real nature is not this body, it is not the mind, it is something other than this. Let your mind keep on dwelling on this again and again. Remind yourself again and again. Every day in the morning, you say, I am Atma. Very simple. I'm giving you the simplest thing in Vedanta. Just to tell yourself, I am Atma. And what does this Atma mean? Atma means it is eternal. Eternal means what? It is always there. But I don't see it. You see, it is always there, but eyes cannot see that. My eyes can only see certain forms and colors. My ears can listen to some things in the world. But in this world, there is Atma. That Atma is now being revealed to me from the scriptures. Your intellect will say, where is this Atma? You don't see it. So how can you believe this? But you should say, I believe in the scriptures. I am the Atma. I am the Atma. Let other thoughts of the world reduce. Keep on reducing the worldly thoughts. You take care of your body and you take care of people around you, and have a simple life of just living. That's all. Don't worry or don't have too many questions about the world. Your only question should be, who am I? That's all.
I am Atma.
I am Atma. Remind yourself, Atma is eternal, Nitya. I am Nitya Atma. Nitya Atma, Nitya Atma, repeated 100 times. That should be your goal of life. And you should say to yourself, I will discover this nature of mine before the fall of this body.
Yes, that's the thing. We're trying to do that.
Yes, and the more you attend the classes, the more you keep hearing again and again, then you will remember it is this nature. I didn't know this before because I keep on hearing it in the Wednesday class, Saturday class, again and again. I'm only listening to what? I'm listening to the Veda. The Veda is teaching me and reminding, I am that pure consciousness, pure Brahman. See, Brahman is a very technical word. If you don't understand Brahman, you say Atma. It's easy and simple. I am Atma. I am the pure consciousness. I am the pure consciousness. This body is seen. It is seen, it is unseen. In the sleep state, I don't see the body. But I exist. That is what you should keep comparing. In the sleep state, I don't see the body, but I am existing. In the waking state, I see the body and I am existing. What is common between the sleep and the waking? That is called as Atma.
So that means the witness or the sakshi, right?
Absolutely. You got it now. Okay. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Yeah, Saru, tell me.
Yeah. So I have 3-4 questions. One is in connection to what Jocelyn was talking about. Jacqueline, sorry.
Yeah, Jacqueline.
So, but my question is, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. These are the descriptors or attributes.
Yes.
Yeah. But then Sat, Chit, Anand. What is the difference between them? I get confused as to when they are to be used and what are they really. Are they referring to the same thing? And also, is Sat plus Chit, which is existence plus consciousness, always Anand? Is that the nature? Is Anand the nature, or Sat, Chit, Anand the 3 attributes of consciousness?
Okay. I understand where you are coming from. You see, whenever you are when will you think about this Satyam, Ananda, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam? When will you think about these 3 words? You will only think when you want to know about yourself. When you want to know about your daughter and other things, you will not be worried about Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. So you will be only thinking about these 3 words whenever you want to understand who are you. Now, these three words, they don't need to be used together. You can just focus your attention on one aspect.
Okay.
Sometimes your mind will say, I want to focus on the nature of consciousness, awareness. That is the most common feature which most of the people they like. It is easy. When I focus on awareness, it is easy. It is something which I can abide in. So the first thing you use when you enter into the meditation process or when you want to know is understand consciousness, jnanam first. Okay? Then after that is why Vidyaranya also took consciousness in the verse number 13 to 28 first, because he knows that that is easy for the students. After you have understood this consciousness, then you take the second step and try to understand Satyam.
Okay.
After you have meditated yourself on the aspect of consciousness, and what should you remember about consciousness? You should remember about consciousness is I am the sakshi of all my thoughts. This is the most important thing about consciousness. Okay, so this is one aspect of the meditation or one aspect of my spiritual study.
Right.
The second aspect of my spiritual study, when my mind has meditated on the consciousness aspect more and more, after maybe a month, then you try to understand what is this world which I experience. I experience my body, I experience everybody in the world as is. Now my attention is not on the pure consciousness, but now my attention is on the world. When you are analyzing the world, what you should do is, the world, ultimately you should say, the world is. What is, whenever I say that the world exists, the sun exists, the moon exists, what is the common thing in all the objects and beings and everything in the world? The common aspect is existence. So this is the second level of spiritual growth. After you have done the second level of spiritual growth, then you come to the third level, which is what is the Anantam portion. Don't try to mix all three and start meditating Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam,
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's very, very helpful. Thank you so much. Yes.
Don't do that. Go to the third aspect, and suppose in your meditation sessions, if your mind itself is very quiet, you can then, after some time, slowly your mind can go from consciousness to I am existent consciousness, I am limitless consciousness. Keep consciousness as the base and then say that same consciousness is existent and the same consciousness is limitless in nature. This consciousness is not affected by time. Whenever the day is born, consciousness remains the same. The day is born means what? The time has come into play. And remember, time, space, objects, mind. These four will always be together.
Time, space, objects, mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without the mind,
nothing will exist.
Without the mind, there is no space, there is no time, there is no object.
That's so beautiful, huh? But that's what, to be in a state without the mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see, there is a state without that mind. I know that because I have studied Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. So this state that there is no time, space, or object, they come only when the mind is there.
Yeah.
And they are not there when the mind is not there.
Yeah, in the sleep state, yeah.
That is what you should say, and your mind should be able to go to that fact of this world. It is this world we are talking about. What we are all experiencing only we are talking about. And what is beyond this time, space, and object and the mind is this sakshi.
Beyond, yes.
Okay, so this is the way of the step-by-step growth in spirituality. You're clear now?
Yeah, this is very, very helpful. So helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
But
yes.
Satchit Anand.
Yeah.
So
Anand,
these are also.
Yeah, Anand is nothing but Anantam.
It is Anantam, right? Okay,
Yes.
the same thing.
Chit is Jnanam. Yeah.
So they correlated. Satyam is Sat, Jnanam is Chit, and Anantam is Anand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're correlated. Yeah. I have two more questions. Can I?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So this was with relation to Maya Shakti. So a statement in which you mentioned that in my light of awareness, the whole world is seen. Yeah. So I'm saying that, is there a quality of the light? Okay. Because does that then influence the Maya Shakti?
No.
No. Because even though I have a limited perception, I have limited, my perception has various limiting factors. I'm aware of that.
Yes.
But even then, everybody perceives differently.
Yes.
Yeah?
They perceive differently because of the mind.
Yeah, because of the mind.
Yes.
So,
see, for example, your mind is situated in India.
Yeah.
And the mind is born with a specific body.
Yeah.
So body and mind are related, and all your experiences have to do with the mind, body, and the world, your world. See, in chapter 4, we will come to that. See, for this question of yours, you need the analysis of chapter 4 of Panchadasi.
Okay.
Your question will be answered in chapter 4 of Panchadasi, which is Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll
but to tell you in short, there is no gradation in consciousness.
Yeah, no gradation in consciousness. So no gradation in the quality of light. It is one, samanya.
Samanya consciousness is one. Pure consciousness is only one. Ekam. And that is what I am in search of. That light is what I'm in search of. The mind is different. And what your mind is experiencing through the sense organs is different. That is what is called as Jiva Srishti.
Jiva Srishti. Okay.
Whatever your mind is experiencing is called as Jiva Srishti, but Ishvara Srishti is only one.
Okay.
Ishvara Srishti is common to all of us. You are living in the same earth. I am living in the same earth. This earth is not produced by you or me. It is Ishvara.
Yeah.
That is what is called as Ishvara, and that Ishvara has got Maya Shakti. Jiva doesn't have Maya Shakti. Jiva has got Nidra Shakti. Jiva can only go to sleep and dream. But Ishvara can project this waking state for the entire mankind. Okay, so that will all come when we discuss the chapter 4 of the Panchadasi. Is one of the most beautiful chapters, and in that chapter, it's Swami Vidyaranya says that the entire world is coming into your mind. And sakshi, consciousness, is seeing this mind. See, that is where you see consciousness is always there. The reality, the pure Brahman, that consciousness is always light, is always there. There is no birth, there is no death. That light is always there. That is my real nature.
Consciousness has no mind.
Yeah, consciousness has no mind. But this mind sees this body. Whenever it gets that light, the mind wakes up, mind goes to sleep. Wakes up, mind goes to sleep. When the mind wakes up, it sees this body, it sees this world.
And mind is in the intellect? Mind is in the intellect?
Yes, mind, intellect, all this is the same instrument, one instrument.
It's the same instrument, okay.
It is called as antakaranam. And that antakaranam is in control of Maya Shakti. That Maya Shakti controls the antakaranam.
Oh, okay.
That is Ishvara. When you wake up, why you wake up, how you wake up is all Ishvara.
Yeah.
Okay, so that analysis of Jiva Srishti is very beautiful. Nowhere else in the entire scriptures you find this chapter 4, Ishvara Srishti and Jiva Srishti. Anyway, we'll take it up.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. That's the best chapter of all the 10 chapters of Panchadasi.
Okay, lovely. And I have a last question, please. Is that all right to ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
So,
then I'll ask Venkatesh.
Yeah. So this entire universe is the form of Ishwar.
Yes.
Yeah. So shouldn't I be enjoying this more than withdrawing?
Good. You see, as a jiva, you're always involved with the world. But when you learn that you are not the jiva, then you become Ishvara itself. Because the moment you drop your mind, you are that pure consciousness which is beautiful. There is no question of withdrawing. It is always there. You're only withdrawing your mind.
Okay, only withdrawing the mind.
Yes. And how do you withdraw the mind? By saying that this mind is an appearance. Mind is only an appearance in the waking state. It disappears in the sleep state. It is an appearance like what? Like the swapna. You see, the swapna is one channel I see, and then in the Jagrat also I see another channel. In the Jagrat, sometimes it is happy, sometimes it is very sad. But this sadness or happiness, you see, is belonging to the mind. It is not to the consciousness. The moment you see, the moment you understand that this joy and sorrow belongs to the mind, it doesn't belong to the consciousness, your 99% of all your questions is gone.
This is so brilliant. Thank you so much. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, Venkatesh, you had some things to say on these questions.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that this fourth chapter looks to be very unique actually. That Jiva Srishti and Ishvara.
It's
It's like
amazing. Yes.
like what we have gone through all the Upanishads and all. This is another way, a new way of dissecting the mind. It's a very
Yes.
unique way of presenting and trying to convincing the mind.
Yes, I agree with you. That
Yeah,
is exactly what I felt when I was reading the fourth chapter.
yeah,
And it's a very unique method because you see, all the time we are trying to use different methods to arrive at the same truth.
yeah.
And the fourth chapter of Panchadasi is very unique. I really like that chapter because it can really focus your attention on what is the mind and what is sakshi very easily.
That's what I'm saying. That
Yes.
pramoda and sakshi,
Yes.
that interface, that looks to be the most critical part of the journey. So that gives a very beautiful way
Yes,
of.
yes. And that if you can analyze the Jiva Srishti correctly,
Yes.
then you will understand Ishvara Srishti and also you'll understand Sakshi very easily.
Sakshi very easily. And second, I just want to say this Nirvana Sadhakam I find really mind blowing actually.
Yes.
So this is one of the greatest way of understanding and letting your mind, particularly during meditation, traveling from external to the inner world, taking the journey from
Yes.
outside to the inner. I mean, negating the antakarna, jnanendriyas, karmendriyas, and negating the 5 elements. It is really an extraordinary. Like nothing can be said about what is that ananta. The best way to explain ananta, which itself is anirvachaniyam, whatever this thing, but to put it into some way. So this Nirvana Sadhakam I found. I mean, whenever I hear, I find it very mind blowing. Oh my God, something like that.
That's correct. Yeah, these
Yeah.
6 verses.
That 6 verses are so amazing actually.
Yeah,
All Upanishads, I find it a different way of putting it actually.
correct. Yes. See, Sankaracharya is absolutely great.
Really genius actually. Too extraordinary.
In the 6 verses, he can take your mind off from the world and then, put it in the lap of consciousness.
Yeah. Dakshinamurti Stotram and Nirvana Sadhakam, these 10 and 6 verses, I find something is hidden
Yes.
and
Yes.
very extraordinary way of putting right in front of your seeker actually. I mean,
Yeah, I agree with you. Each one of you should have these 2 texts always at the, just keep it handy. Like how you keep Bhagavad Gita handy, you keep Nirvana Shatkam and you keep Dakshinamurti Stotram as handy. Always let your mind dwell on these 6 mantras and the 10 mantras. Let the mind dwell. You see, these are all only instruments for us to dwell on the Atma. These are all aids, these are all things which we can keep next to us. And Bhagavad Gita, for example, there are so many verses. So if you mark in a small book of Bhagavad Gita, the important verses, whenever you have some spare time, you can go through them.
yeah.
These are the tips of being a good student of Vedanta.
Second, just I want to check what is that Upadesha Sahasri?
Upadesha Sahasri. It's 1,000 verse on the Vedanta itself, on different aspects of Vedanta, different topics. You see, Upadesha Sahasri means 1,000 teachings of Shankaracharya.
Oh, okay.
But it takes long time, you see, these texts they take such a long time. Even Panchadasi, it's going to take me a long time to explain all these.
I agree. Yeah. This is a very beautiful way of presentation. You might have put so much effort, no doubt.
It takes time to go to the depths of these verses,
Yeah. That I agree.
But Upadesha Sahasri is a nice text. We can do it sometime. I hope someday we can do it.
maybe a little bit of summary or something that just to understand, because once a Vidyajaya is specified means it will have some specific.
Okay, just remind me, maybe after Panchadasi, I'll just give you a small introduction to Upadesha Sahasra.
Yeah, maybe a slight summary.
Yeah, just remind me after Panchadasi.
Sure, sure.
So Panchadasi, I will not be doing 10 to 15 chapter. I will just be covering in 1, 2 or 3 talks. Chapter 6 and 7, I will not be covering. I'll just give you a summary of those 2 chapters because they are very, very big chapters. You know, just 200, 300 verses, you know. So, but chapter 1 to 5, I want to cover. I have taken chapter 3 now. Now, 4 and 5, definitely I will cover. Those 2 chapters are brilliant chapters.
Yeah, yeah.
Chapter 1 and 2, I will do in a fast pace. It is, I will do not slowly, but I will do in a fast pace. You will go through the verses, but not like each verse 10 pages of analysis or 6 pages of analysis. We'll just read the verses. I'll explain to you in a short way because they are not so important as the 4th and the 5th.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else has any other questions?
Yes, Mr. Shekhar, I just want a clarification. This is Jacqueline again.
Yes, go ahead.
Just, okay, pure consciousness, pure existence, and pure bliss. All these supposed to be limitless, infinite, effortless, and yeah, eternal, okay?
Yes.
For us, that we have, I mean, at least for me, I have listened to you. I'm still learning, not in depth yet, about all this Vedanta. So to me, I'm just asking, do I need to say consciousness is limitless? Because as I am in this class, I ought to know that it is limitless and infinite and consciousness.
Yes, yes. I'm getting what you're saying. What you should do is, there are 2 steps. The first step is you should say is consciousness is limitless. Consciousness is not affected by time. That is the first step. Okay, consciousness. That means you are talking about some consciousness which is not affected by time. There is some consciousness in the world, but the second step is, the first step everybody has to do. The second step is, after you have gone through, these are all meditational processes of the mind. After you have gone through that, then you should change the language. I am that consciousness which is not affected by time.
Yeah.
I am that. That is the second phase. You know, the first phase, you are only saying, I have learned from the scriptures that there exists something called as Brahman or consciousness or Atma. Whatever your language you like, you take it. But keep the same language flow all the time for yourself. Don't keep on changing your thought process too many times.
Yes.
You know, follow and write down in a piece of paper what you want to contemplate on. Keep that as a constant. Don't keep on changing that too often.
Yes, that's why I am asking certain words in particular, because I just want to be simple, just like Om. Om is the whole.
Yeah, you see, just now I was explaining to Saru the 3 steps. First, you talk about I am consciousness. This consciousness, I just go through my recording of what I explained to Saru. And you formulate your own one-page document and say that this is the 3 steps, which I told Saru just now.
Yes, I understand. But then I understand what you told Saru. I just want a clarification that if I am already there, my second step, because right now, as a human being, I will say I'm limitless, you know, effortless. Things that I do is effortless. I should be effortless, you know. But then I have to voice myself in that manner. However, if I am in a I know myself deeper, I shouldn't be saying that I'm effortless, right?
I am effortless.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that things happen effortlessly. So I'm just saying,
yeah. You see, okay, don't get confused between what is happening in the external world and your internal world. External world, keep it external. Internal world, keep it internal.
okay, appreciate.
Okay?
Okay, appreciate.
Okay.
Last question. Yeah. So this is so the Bhagavad Gita is a sermon given by Krishna, right? And Krishna is somebody who play is associated with Krishna. So I'm just wondering, when I'm studying this, I'm very serious. Where is the play part of my life? You know, or the play in that?
Okay, the play part of life is after you have known that you are the pure consciousness, you play in the world as a jiva.
As a jiva.
Yeah, see, you play. Let the jiva go through its mind, whatever it wants to do, let it do. Like a baby, right? A baby doesn't realize what it is doing. It just keeps on playing. According to whatever comes in its mind, it will play. So be like a baby. Be like, I am in my inner nature, I am that pure bliss. But body is playing in the world. Let it play in the world with the relatives, with the children, with the world. But don't get too bothered about it.
Not serious about it.
Yeah, don't get too serious about it. Everything is okay. Chalta hai. Theek hai. No? Whatever is happening in the world, just tell yourself, let it be there, let it be there. Today the day was good. Today see, one thing is there.
All that is Maya Shakti projection happening in any case.
Maya
No?
Shakti, that's all. I am the pure, see, whatever I'm experiencing in the world is a part of Maya. Accept the fact, because this is what you are learning in the Bhagavad Gita. Is you are learning in Panchadasi the same thing. Okay?
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hello.
Yeah,
Muralidharan, sir.
Yeah, Muralidharan.
I've been enjoying your classes last week, sir. It's very nice, and I get a very good knowledge about the Panchakosha Viveka and all. Now, today, in your meditation session, I could understand that the first is Akasha is created, then Vayu, all these 5 elements are coming by one in order.
Yes.
And the Akasha, it is the space, it is again, today I understood that it has come from the Brahman. So,
yes.
Brahman, along with the Maya Shakti, it has come with the Akasha, isn't it?
Exactly. Now you got the right picture. Perfect understanding.
Along with the Maya Shakti, and
yes.
It has also manifested throughout the Akasha.
Yes.
The entire Akasha is also Brahman now.
Absolutely. That is why we say that is why we say Brahman is non-dual. Non-dual means it alone is in the end. This Maya Shakti.
Akasha, when Vayu is created, Vayu also the same quality of Brahman and Akasha are again merging with the Vayu.
Yes.
That way it gets 3 qualities there. One by one quality gets added to all the elements now.
That's correct. Yes. So, like in Tattva Bodha, you find all the properties, they get slowly added up. That is why the sense organs, they perceive it. That's all.
Now, this I understood very clearly now, because this point was very clear to me today only, that the space itself is created out of pure consciousness.
Absolutely, yes. Space is Karyam, Karanam is Brahman.
Similarly, the same Brahman, the Jiva Srishti, when it is created, the Brahman enters into Jiva in the form of pure Atma within the Jiva. So thereby, this Jiva Srishti gets consciousness status.
Yes.
Now, after the new consciousness coming into the jiva, there is a reflected consciousness in the mind, and thereby other sense organs also get eliminated and all.
Correct.
So in
Correct.
that process, the Shakti of this consciousness spread over all the parts of the body.
Yes.
So that way we get all the feelings of what do you say, the consciousness status will come throughout the body itself is there.
That's
As
correct. Yes.
the space is manifested by the Brahman, the human body or any jiva for that matter is also completely manifested by the Brahman, isn't that so?
Yes. All are the manifestation of the same Brahman with Maya Shakti. Always keep in mind, add the word with Maya Shakti. Okay, Murli?
On.
Is it clear, Murli?
Hello?
Yeah, Murli, is it clear?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Now, this the doubt I have got is, as the jiva also gets all the properties of the consciousness status throughout the other organs up to the stula sarira, as in the case of the space world, where the Brahman spreads to the space, akasha, vayu, all those elements,
Yes.
the jiva also is created. So there also all the principles of Brahman is merged in all the stages. So also in the jiva. But
Correct.
both are all in the same space only. We are all in the same space.
Yes.
Thereby, whatever goes to the space of Brahman, Brahman's manifestation in the space manifestation, the same manifestation will also come in the jiva up to the Stula Sarira, is not.
Yes. But what is your question?
But Stula Sarira is not a Brahman, you say. That is.
Sorry?
But the Stula Sarira cannot be considered as a Brahman because it is being negated.
Yeah. You see, either you can say that Stula Sharira also is something which is manifested by the Maya Shakti.
Okay.
Okay, and then it belongs to Brahman only. You can negate it. You see, negation is done for the Stula Sharira because it is not there in the sleep state.
Okay.
I negate. It is Badaha. Badaha means I can negate. Very easily I can negate. In the dream state, where is the Stula Shariram which I am experiencing in the waking state?
Correct. One more thing, sir, the doubt is this, you are telling about Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, you are talking about that. I was all along thinking that Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Anantam is, of course, spread over entire, that is the thing. But whereas we can, in Tamil, when we read it, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, we call it as Anandam and consider it as a bliss status.
Yes,
so I was having confusion.
This confusion is very, very common in all the Vedanta students.
Okay, that's all.
It's very common. This is a very common thing.
So here the Anantam refers to only the what is it? Pervasiveness, is that?
Yes, it pervades and then it is not limited by either time or space. That is the technical definition of Anantam.
Then where is the word of bliss that is coming into that?
The bliss is the laukika, the laukika meaning of Anantam. In the common parlance, if you want to explain to a common man, you cannot explain that it is limitless and time, it requires, that is technical. Whereas to common man, you say is Satyam Jnanam, Anantam. Anantam is Ananda. Ultimately, this limitlessness, how is it expressed in the human being? As happiness. But this happiness is different than the happiness of born out of the sense objects. I will explain to you later. Now at this point of time, you just accept that Anandam is also correct, but at a
Yeah.
Laukika level.
Because in one of the songs of our M.S. Subbalakshmi, I think Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Anandam word, I think you have made use of that.
Yes, that's also okay. It is acceptable, but not when you come to a Panchadasi class where you're trying to analyze and trying to go very deep into the text. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm really enjoying it. Really
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I think we had a very long session today. Thank you and good night.
Hari Om. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Sekhaji.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Shikaji.
Have
Thank
a
you.
good night's sleep.
Okay. And don't think about animals.
No, I
Okay.
was just comparing whether
No.
because,
Just forget about it. That's all.
humans are more advanced than animals. There's so many
Yeah.
things.
Don't worry. It's okay. Thank you. Good night.
Bye.